My name is Elena. I'm 28 years old, and 6 months ago, I genuinely believed I had my whole life figured out. You know that feeling when everything just clicks into place? When you look around and think, this is it. This is my happily ever after. That's exactly where I was. I was engaged to Marcus, this incredible man I'd been dating for 4 years. He wasn't just handsome or successful, though he was both of those things. He was the kind of guy who remembered how I took my coffee, who texted me good morning every single day without fail, who made me feel like I was the only woman in the world when he looked at me. Everyone said we were the perfect couple, and I believed them. Then there was Chelsea, my best friend since college. 7 years of friendship. 7 years of late-night talks and shared secrets and being there for each other through everything. Breakups, job losses, family drama, you name it. Chelsea knew me better than anyone. She was the first person I called when Marcus proposed. She screamed so loud on the phone that I had to pull it away from my ear. She cried happy tears. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "You deserve this," she whispered. "You deserve all the happiness in the world." I trusted her completely. Looking back now, I can't believe how naive I was. How absolutely blind. The three of us spent so much time together that it became normal. Marcus and Chelsea got along amazingly, which I actually loved. I never had to worry about choosing between my fiancé and my best friend. We'd have dinners together at least twice a week. Weekend trips to the beach. Game nights at my apartment. People would joke that we were a package deal, and I'd laugh along. I thought it was sweet that the two most important people in my life loved each other too. What I didn't realize was just how much they loved each other. How stupid could I have been? We decided to throw this big engagement dinner at Marcus's parents' estate. They had this beautiful property with gardens and a huge house that looked like something out of a magazine. The plan was to keep it intimate, just our closest family and friends. Maybe 30 people total? I wanted it to be perfect, so I spent weeks planning every single detail. The flowers, the menu, the seating arrangements, everything. And Chelsea was right there beside me the whole time. She helped me pick out my dress, this gorgeous cream-colored thing that made me feel like a princess. She tasted all the food options with me. She held my hand when I got stressed about whether Marcus's judgmental aunt would approve of the wine selection. "Stop worrying," she'd say with that warm smile of hers. "Everything is going to be perfect. You're going to be the most beautiful bride anyone has ever seen." The night before the dinner, Chelsea came over to my apartment with 2 bottles of wine. We sat on my couch, drinking and laughing about college memories. Remember that time we got locked out of our dorm in our pajamas? Remember that terrible professor who made us all cry? We talked about the future too. My wedding, of course, but also her life. She'd just gotten out of a relationship a few months earlier, and I asked her if she was doing okay. "I'm good," she said, looking me right in the eyes. "I'm really, really good actually. Things are looking up." She helped me practice my thank you speech for the dinner. I must have rehearsed it 10 times, and she listened patiently every single time, giving me notes on where to pause or add emotion. Before she left that night, she hugged me at the door. A long, tight hug that felt almost desperate. "You and Marcus are so lucky to have found each other," she said softly. "Real love like that is so rare. Don't ever take it for granted." I remember squeezing her back and thinking I was the luckiest girl alive. I had a man who adored me, a best friend who supported me, a beautiful future stretching out ahead of me. As I watched her walk to her car, I felt this overwhelming sense of gratitude. Tomorrow would be perfect. Tomorrow would be the beginning of forever. I had absolutely no idea that in less than 24 hours, these two people would destroy me in a way I never imagined possible. No idea that the life I'd so carefully built was about to crumble into nothing. No idea that the two people I trusted most in this world had been lying to my face for months. That night, I fell asleep smiling, dreaming about my future. I wish I could go back and warn myself. I wish I could tell that happy, trusting version of me to open her eyes. But maybe I needed to learn the hard way. Maybe some lessons only come through pain. The engagement dinner started like a fairy tale. I'm not exaggerating when I say everything was perfect. The weather cooperated, giving us this beautiful sunset that painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. The gardens looked magical with all the string lights we'd hung. Marcus's mom had outdone herself with the decorations, adding these elegant touches I never would have thought of. As guests arrived, everyone kept telling me how stunning everything was, how happy they were for us. I felt like I was glowing from the inside out. Marcus couldn't keep his hands off me. Under the table during dinner, he kept squeezing my hand, running his thumb across my knuckles in that way that always made me melt. He'd lean over and whisper things like, "I can't. Wait to marry you and you're the most beautiful woman here." His parents gave this touching toast about family and commitment and how they'd never seen their son so happy. His father actually got choked up, which never happened. I remember looking around that table at all the people I loved, feeling this profound sense of belonging. This was my tribe. This was my family. Everything I'd ever wanted was right here in this moment. About halfway through dinner, Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned slightly, and leaned over to kiss my cheek. "Sorry, babe. Work emergency. You know how Johnson gets about the quarterly reports? I'll be 5 minutes, I promise." I smiled and told him to take his time. Work was work. I understood. Maybe 10 minutes later, Chelsea stood up from her seat across the table. "I need to powder my nose," she announced with a little laugh. "Too much champagne." She winked at me as she walked past. I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? These were the two people I trusted most in the entire world. Time passed. I was talking to Marcus's aunt about her garden when I realized both Marcus and Chelsea had been gone for a while. 15 minutes, maybe 20. Marcus's mom leaned over and asked, "Where did Marcus disappear to? The caterers want to know when to bring out the cake." Something in her tone made my stomach tighten. Not suspicion exactly, but just this tiny whisper of wrongness. "He had to take a work call," I said. "I'll go find him." I stood up, smoothing down my dress, telling myself I was being ridiculous. There was nothing to worry about. I checked the study first. Empty, then the kitchen, where the caterers were working. They hadn't seen him. I walked through the hallway, my heels clicking on the marble floor, and that whisper of wrongness got louder. Then I heard voices coming from upstairs. From the library. One was definitely Marcus. Low, masculine. The other was lighter, feminine, Chelsea. They were talking, but I couldn't make out the words yet. I told myself they'd probably just run into each other. Maybe Marcus needed privacy for his call and Chelsea was looking for the bathroom. Completely innocent. But as I got closer to the door, I heard Chelsea laugh. Not her regular laugh. This was different, intimate. The kind of laugh you share with someone when you're alone together, when you have secrets. My hand reached for the doorknob, but I couldn't make myself turn it. I just stood there frozen, my heart starting to pound so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then Marcus spoke, and his voice had this playful tone I knew so well. "We can't keep doing this," he said. But he didn't sound upset. He sounded amused, almost excited. "She's going to find out eventually." Those words hit me like a physical blow. He was talking about me. Chelsea's response was barely a whisper, but I heard every word. "Not tonight. Let her have tonight. We'll figure it out after." Then I heard it. The unmistakable sound of kissing. Soft, intimate sounds that made my whole body go cold. My brain couldn't process what was happening. It felt surreal, like I was watching a movie instead of living my actual life. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening at my engagement dinner. With all our family and friends downstairs celebrating our love, I don't remember deciding to open the door. My hand just moved on its own. The door swung open, and there they were. Chelsea and Marcus standing way too close to each other near the bookshelf. They jumped apart like they'd been electrocuted. Chelsea's lipstick was smeared across her mouth. Marcus's shirt was untucked, his hair messed up. For what felt like an eternity, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. We just stood there, the three of us, and the only sound was my ragged breathing. Then Chelsea started crying. Actual tears streaming down her face, her mascara beginning to run. "Alina," she sobbed, reaching toward me like she had any right to touch me. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It just happened. We never meant to hurt you. You have to believe me." The words sounded rehearsed, like she'd practiced them. Marcus still couldn't look at me. He was staring at the floor, his jaw clenched, his hands shaking slightly. That's when I knew this wasn't some drunken mistake. This was something real. Something that had been going on. How long? My voice came out strange, cold and distant, like it belonged to someone else. Like I was floating above my body, watching this happen to a different Alina. Marcus finally looked at me. His eyes were red. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. 3 months, he whispered. 3 months. The words echoed in my head. 3 months while I was picking out wedding invitations. 3 months while Chelsea helped me choose bridesmaid dresses. 3 months of lies and sneaking around and making a fool out of me. I thought about all the times we'd been together, the three of us. And how they must have been looking at each other when I wasn't paying attention. How they must have been counting down the minutes until they could be alone together. How they must have laughed at how clueless I was. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw things or slap anyone, even though God knows I wanted to. I just turned around and walked away. Down the stairs, past the dining room where everyone was still eating and laughing, completely unaware that my entire world had just ended. Out the front door into the cool night air. I got in my car and I drove. I don't even remember where. I just drove until I couldn't see that house anymore. Till I couldn't hear Chelsea's fake sobs or see Marcus's guilty face. And finally, alone in my car in some random parking lot. I let myself break. My mom found me 2 hours later still sitting in that parking lot. I hadn't moved. Hadn't turned on the car. I was just staring straight ahead at nothing, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles had gone white. She'd been calling me over and over, but my phone was on silent. When she finally tracked my location and drove out to find me, she didn't ask questions. She just opened my car door, pulled me into her arms, and let me fall apart. I sobbed so hard I couldn't breathe. These horrible, gut-wrenching sounds that didn't even sound human. All the pain I'd been holding in came pouring out and I couldn't stop it. My mom just held me tighter and whispered, "I know, baby." I know over and over until I had nothing left. The engagement was off, obviously. Marcus called me 17 times that first night. 17 times. Each call made me feel sicker than the last. I finally answered around 3 in the morning because I couldn't take it anymore. "What could you possibly have to say to me?" I asked. My voice was hoarse from crying. He started with excuses. It wasn't planned. It just happened. He never meant to fall for her. He still cared about me. Then he had the audacity to say, "You were so busy with wedding planning. You barely noticed me anymore. Chelsea just understood me in a way you didn't." I hung up. I actually laughed as I ended the call because the alternative was screaming. He cheated on me and somehow it was my fault for caring too much about our wedding. Chelsea's text came around dawn. I watched the sun come up through my bedroom window, my eyes so swollen I could barely see, and her message appeared. A long, rambling paragraph about how love is complicated and unpredictable. How she fought her feelings for months, but couldn't deny them anymore. How she never wanted this to happen, but sometimes the heart wants what it wants. She ended with, "I hope someday you can forgive me. You'll always be my best friend." I read it 3 times, each time feeling more disgusted. She talked about love like it was some noble thing. Like she was a romantic heroine instead of someone who betrayed her best friend. I blocked her number. Then I blocked Marcus. I deleted every photo, every message, every reminder that they'd ever existed in my life. For 2 weeks, I didn't leave my apartment. I called in sick to work, telling them I had the flu. My boss was understanding, thank God. I stayed in bed for days, only getting up to use the bathroom or drink water when my mom forced me. I couldn't eat. Food tasted like nothing, like cardboard. I'd close my eyes and see them together in that library. Chelsea's smeared lipstick, Marcus's untucked shirt. The way they looked at each other before they realized I was there. It played on a loop in my mind, torturing me. I kept thinking about every moment I'd missed, every sign I should have seen. Had they touched when I wasn't looking? Had they texted each other while sitting right next to me? How many times had I talked to Chelsea about Marcus, sharing intimate details about our relationship while she was sleeping with him? The worst part wasn't even the betrayal itself. It was how everyone else reacted. Small town, big scandal. Everyone had an opinion. Some people were supportive, bringing me casseroles and flowers like I was in mourning, which I guess I was. But others whispered behind my hands. I heard through a mutual friend that some people were saying I must have driven Marcus away, that I was probably cold or controlling or not enough for him somehow. Marcus's family tried to do damage control, but the truth had already spread. His mom called to apologize, crying about how she raised him better than this. That almost made it worse, knowing even his own mother was disgusted with him. Chelsea had the nerve to post on social media a cryptic quote about following your heart even when it's hard, about how real love doesn't follow rules or timelines. The comments were full of people who didn't know the full story, calling her brave and authentic. I wanted to comment the truth. I wanted to expose her to everyone, but I didn't. I just watched her curate this narrative where she was the heroine of some great love story instead of a backstabbing liar. And that's when something inside me shifted. I was going through my phone one night, deleting pictures of Marcus. Each one felt like ripping off a bandage. Marcus at the beach. Marcus at Christmas. Marcus proposing to me in front of the fountain downtown. Delete, delete, delete. Then I found a video I'd completely forgotten about. It was from 2 months before the engagement dinner. We'd all gone to Chelsea's family lake house for a long weekend. I was filming Marcus trying to water ski for the first time, laughing as he fell over and over. But when I watched it again, really watched it, I saw something in the background. Near the dock, partially hidden by trees, Chelsea and Marcus, standing close together, too close. Her hand was on his chest. He was leaning down, and even though the video was shaky, even though they were far away, I could see it clear as day. He was kissing her. I checked the timestamp. 2 months before the engagement dinner. But Marcus said 3 months. They'd been lying about the timeline. It had been going on even longer than they admitted. I sat there in the dark watching that video over and over, and something cold and sharp settled in my chest. Not sadness anymore. Something different. Something harder. They humiliated me in front of everyone I loved. They let me plan a wedding, pick out a dress, imagine a future, all while they were sneaking around behind my back. And then, as if that wasn't enough, they got engaged. 2 months after destroying my life, I saw it on Instagram. Chelsea's ring was bigger than mine had been. The photo showed Marcus down on one knee on a beach at sunset, and Chelsea's face was frozen in this expression of shocked joy. The caption said, "When you know," with a bunch of heart emojis. I stared at that post for a long time. At her fake surprise, like she hadn't stolen someone else's fiancé. At the comments from people congratulating them, people who knew exactly what they'd done to me. And that's when I made my decision. They wanted their fairy tale. They wanted everyone to celebrate their great love story. Fine, I'd let them have their moment. But I'd make sure everyone knew the truth about how that love story really began. I became someone I didn't recognize. Someone calculating, patient. I went through everything with a fine-tooth comb, piecing together the puzzle of my own betrayal like a detective obsessed with a cold case. Old text messages I hadn't deleted yet. Emails buried in folders. Social media posts with timestamps that suddenly made horrifying sense. I made spreadsheets. Actual spreadsheets tracking dates and locations and inconsistencies in their stories. My therapist later told me this was part of my processing, trying to make sense of something senseless. But in those moments, it felt like warfare. Like I was gathering ammunition. I reached out to mutual friends, but carefully, casually. "Hey, do you remember that weekend last spring when Marcus said he had that work conference in Denver?" The answer would come back, innocent and unsuspecting. Oh yeah, I saw Chelsea post pictures from Denver that same weekend. Weird coincidence, right? My stomach would drop every single time, but I'd keep my voice light. Yeah, so weird. Small world. Another piece of the puzzle. Another lie exposed. They'd been coordinating their stories, planning trips together while I worked late or visited my parents. The depth of the deception was staggering. The hardest part was pretending I was healing. Moving on, being okay. I unfollowed them both on every platform, made a big show of it, told everyone I needed space to process. But I created a fake account. Basic profile, generic name, few followers. Through that account, I watched their lives unfold. Chelsea posted about wedding planning constantly. Cake tastings and venue tours and dress shopping with her mom. Can't wait to marry my best friend, she wrote under a photo of her and Marcus kissing at sunset. My best friend. The words made me physically ill. The comments were worse. Hundreds of people congratulating them, calling them couple goals, saying they were meant to be. People who knew me. People who'd been at my engagement dinner. The collective amnesia was astounding, but I played my part perfectly. When I ran into mutual friends at the grocery store or coffee shop, I smiled. I told them I was doing better, focusing on myself, even dating a little. Which was true, actually. I went on dates. Forced myself to get dressed up and make conversation with men from dating apps. Not because I was ready, but because I needed people to see me as someone who'd moved on. Someone who wasn't a threat. Someone who'd accepted her fate and was building a new life. The dates were hollow, meaningless. I'd sit across from perfectly nice men and feel absolutely nothing. My heart was still too bruised, too angry. It's focused on the two people who'd broken it. 3 months after that nightmare in the library, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Is this Alina?" It said. "We need to talk about Marcus." My heart stopped. I almost didn't respond, afraid it was some cruel prank. But something made me type back. "Who is this?" The response came quickly. "My name is Sophie. I dated Marcus before you. I think you deserve to know the truth about who he really is. We met at a small cafe across town, somewhere I knew we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. Sophie was beautiful, put together, professional. She looked like someone who had her life figured out. But when she started talking, I saw the same haunted look in her eyes that I saw in my mirror every morning. He cheated on me too, she said quietly, stirring her coffee without drinking it. Multiple times, actually. With coworkers, with women he met at bars, probably others I never found out about. My hands started shaking. Did Chelsea know? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. Sophie nodded slowly. She was friends with both of us back then. She knew everything. She even helped me catch him once, pretended to be on my side. I thought she was my friend. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. This wasn't some great love story. This wasn't Marcus and Chelsea unable to resist their intense connection. This was a pattern. Marcus was a serial cheater, and Chelsea was someone who got off on winning, on taking what belonged to other women. Maybe she'd wanted him even back when he was with Sophie. Maybe she'd been planning this for years, waiting for her chance. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked Sophie. She looked me dead in the eye. "Because they're getting married and I saw the announcement. Because I was too broken to fight back when it happened to me, and I've regretted it every day since. And because you deserve to know that this isn't about you not being enough. He was never going to be faithful to anyone." I drove home in a daze, Sophie's words echoing in my head. That night, I pulled out all my evidence. The video from the lake house, the screenshots of their contradicting timelines, the proof that they'd lied about when it started. And now Sophie's testimony about Marcus's history, about Chelsea's pattern of betrayal. I had everything I needed, but I didn't want to just expose them online or send anonymous messages to their families. That felt too small, too easy to dismiss or ignore. No, I wanted something bigger. Something that would reach everyone at once. In a moment when they couldn't escape or make excuses, for months after my world fell apart, the wedding invitation arrived. Thick cream cardstock with gold lettering, elegant and expensive. Chelsea Morrison and Marcus Chen request the honor of your presence as they celebrate their love. There was a handwritten note from Chelsea tucked inside. I know things between us are complicated, but you were such an important part of my life. It would mean the world if you could be there to witness our happiness. I hope we can find our way back to friendship someday. Love always. Chelsea. I read it 3 times, each time feeling more disgusted by the manipulation. She wanted me there. She wanted to parade her victory in front of me, to show everyone that she'd won. Perfect. I filled out the RSVP card, checking the box for joyfully accepts, and mailed it back. Then I went to work. I edited that lake house video, cleaning up the quality, zooming in on their kiss, making sure the timestamp was crystal clear. I compiled the evidence into a presentation, carefully crafted to tell the complete story, and I started planning exactly how. I'd make sure every single person at that wedding saw the truth about the bride and groom they were celebrating. Chelsea wanted me there to witness her happiness. Oh, I'd be there. But this time, I wouldn't be the victim. This time, I was in control. I woke up on their wedding day feeling strangely calm. No nerves, no second thoughts, just this crystal clear sense of purpose. I'd spent months planning this moment, and now it was finally here. I took my time getting ready, treating it like I was preparing for battle. Because that's exactly what it was. I chose a black dress, form-fitting and elegant, the kind that makes you look powerful instead of mourning. I did my makeup flawlessly, my hair in soft waves. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. This wasn't the broken, sobbing girl from 6 months ago. This was someone stronger. Someone dangerous. The church was beautiful, I had to admit. Chelsea had always had good taste. White roses everywhere, soft piano music playing, sunlight streaming through the stained glass windows. Guests were arriving in their fancy clothes, laughing and hugging, completely oblivious to what was coming. I walked in and felt every eye turn toward me. The whispers started immediately. I can't believe she actually came. That takes guts. How awkward must this be? I kept my head high, smiling politely at people I knew, acting like I had every right to be there. Because I did. Chelsea saw me as I was finding my seat. She was in this side room, visible through the doorway, already in her wedding dress. It was stunning. All lace and pearls probably cost more than my car. Our eyes met across the crowded hallway, and for just a second, her smile faltered. Fear flickered across her face. But then she recovered, slipping back into her bride persona. She actually walked over to me, her dress rustling, trailing bridesmaids behind her like an entourage. "Alina," she said, her voice dripping with fake warmth. "I'm so glad you came. It means so much to me." To us, she touched my arm, and it took everything in me not to pull away. I smiled back, matching her fake sincerity with my own. "I wouldn't miss it for the world, Chelsea. This is your big day. Everyone should see this." Something in my tone made her pause, made her look at me more carefully. But before she could say anything, her maid of honor pulled her away for photos. I watched her go, my heart pounding with anticipation. Soon, very soon. The ceremony was sickeningly beautiful. Chelsea walked down the aisle on her father's arm, crying delicate tears. Marcus stood at the altar looking handsome in his tuxedo, his eyes getting misty as she approached. They said their vows, these elaborate promises about forever and faithfulness and choosing each other every day. I almost laughed out loud at the irony. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the church went dead silent. Everyone glanced around nervously. A few people even looked at me. But I sat perfectly still, my face serene. This wasn't the moment. Not yet. I needed everyone. Comfortable first, unsuspecting, celebrating. The reception was at this gorgeous country club with a ballroom that overlooked a lake. Cocktail hour, dinner, toasts from the best man and maid of honor about how perfect Marcus and Chelsea were together. I sat at my assigned table, made polite conversation with strangers, drank champagne, and waited. During dinner, I excused myself and found the wedding coordinator. Her name was Jennifer, and we'd become friendly over the past month through carefully constructed lies. I'd contacted her weeks ago using a fake name, pretending I was planning my own wedding and wanted to hire her. We'd had coffee twice. She thought I was a sweet potential client. Kesa, I said, approaching her near the AV booth where she was organizing the evening's timeline. I have a surprise for the couple. A special video I put together for them. Could we show it before the first dance? I think they'd really love that. I handed her the USB drive, my hand steady even though my heart was racing. She looked delighted. Oh, how sweet. They didn't mention anything about a surprise video, but I'm sure they'll love it. What a thoughtful gesture. She took the drive, completely trusting. And I walked back to my seat feeling like I might throw up from adrenaline. Dinner ended. Plates were cleared. The lights dimmed slightly and Jennifer's voice came over the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, before our beautiful couple shares their first dance, we have a special surprise. A video tribute for the bride and groom. Chelsea and Marcus looked confused, but pleased, whispering to each other. Chelsea was smiling, probably thinking it was something sweet from her parents or bridesmaids. The projector screen lowered from the ceiling. Everyone turned their chairs to face it, settling in with warm, expectant expressions. This was it. This was the moment I'd been planning for months. The video started innocently enough. Sweet music playing, photos of Marcus and Chelsea throughout their relationship. Their engagement announcement. Them laughing at the beach. Romantic sunset kisses. I deliberately started it this way, lulling everyone into a false sense of security. People smiled, made approving sounds. Chelsea's mom was already crying happy tears. Then, abruptly, the music cut out. The romantic photos disappeared. The screen went black for just a second before new footage appeared. Security camera footage, grainy but clear enough. A time stamp in the corner reading the date of my engagement dinner. The library door opening. Chelsea walking in, looking over her shoulder to make sure no one saw her. 30 seconds later, Marcus following. The door closing behind them. The timestamp kept rolling. You couldn't see what was happening inside, but the audio was crystal clear. Their voices flirting, laughing. Then Chelsea's whisper, "We can't keep doing this here." Marcus's response, I know, but I needed to see you. She's been driving me crazy with all the wedding planning." The room erupted in gasps. Someone screamed, "Oh my God!" I watched Marcus's face go from confused to horrified to absolutely white. Chelsea was frozen, her mouth open in shock, but the video wasn't done. Not even close. It continued with text messages, screenshots I'd recovered from old backups. Messages from 4 months before my engagement dinner. Chelsea writing, "Can't wait for tonight. Tell her you have to work late again." Marcus responding with heart emojis. Already did. She believes everything. God, I can't wait to actually be with you instead of sneaking around. The messages kept appearing, each one more damning than the last. Chelsea telling her other friends how boring I was, how I didn't appreciate Marcus the way she did. Marcus complaining about me to Chelsea, mocking things I'd said. Sharing private details about our relationship. The final part of the video started playing. The lake house footage zoomed in and enhanced. Clear as day, you could see Chelsea and Marcus by the dock. Kissing passionately while I filmed Marcus skiing in the background, completely oblivious. The timestamp showed it was 2 months before my engagement dinner, not 3 months like they'd claimed. They'd been lying about everything from the very beginning. The silence in that ballroom was deafening. For about 3 seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Everyone was just frozen, staring at the screen, trying to process what they'd just witnessed. Then all hell broke loose. Chelsea let out this sound I'll never forget, this animalistic wail of horror and rage. She lunged toward the AV booth, screaming, "Turn it off! Turn it off right now." But Jennifer, the coordinator, was standing there with her hand over her mouth, looking absolutely horrified. She'd trusted me. She'd thought she was helping make their day special. The guilt on her face almost made me feel bad. Almost. Marcus tried to grab Chelsea, to calm her down, but she shoved him away so hard he stumbled backward into a table. "Don't touch me," she shrieked. Her perfect wedding makeup was already running, black mascara streaming down her face. His mother stood up so fast her chair toppled over, the crash echoing through the stunned silence. "Marcus Andrew Chen," she said, her voice shaking with fury. "What have you done?" His father just sat there, staring at his son like he was looking at a stranger. The disappointment on his face was more devastating than any anger could have been. The guests erupted into chaos. People were talking over each other, some defending Marcus and Chelsea, others expressing their disgust. Chelsea's bridesmaids surrounded her, trying to comfort her while she sobbed hysterically. But I noticed a few of them exchanging glances, like they'd known something was off all along. Marcus's groomsmen looked uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Several guests were already pulling out their phones. I knew what that meant. This wouldn't stay in this room. By tomorrow, everyone would know the truth. I stood up from my table and the movement drew every eye in the room to me. The noise died down slightly as people realized the architect of this disaster was about to speak. My legs felt shaky, but I forced them to stay steady. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times, but now that it was here, the words felt different, heavier, more real. "Congratulations," I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. It was steady, clear, carrying across the ballroom. "You wanted everyone to celebrate your love story. You wanted this big, beautiful wedding where everyone could witness your happiness. Well, now they know the whole truth. Now they know exactly what your love story cost." Chelsea's head snapped up, her tear-stained face contorted with rage. "You vindictive bitch," she spat. "You're just jealous because he chose me over you. You can't stand that we're happy." I felt this strange calm wash over me. 6 months ago, those words would have destroyed me. Now they just bounced off. "Happy?" I repeated, almost laughing. "Chelsea, you built your entire relationship on lies and betrayal. You stole someone else's fiancé and convinced yourself it was romance. That's not happiness. That's just two broken people who deserve each other." Marcus finally found his voice. He pushed through the crowd trying to reach me, his face desperate. "Alina, please, let me explain. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I never wanted to hurt you." I held up my hand, stopping him in his tracks. "You don't get to do this anymore, Marcus. You don't get to make excuses or try to manage my feelings. You made your choices. Every single day for months, you chose to lie to me. You chose to humiliate me. And Chelsea." I turned to look at her, this woman who'd been my best friend for 7 years. "You sat on my couch the night before my engagement dinner. You helped me practice my speech. You hugged me and told me how lucky I was. And the whole time you were planning to destroy me." Chelsea's father stepped forward, his face red with shame. "Alina, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. If we'd known." His voice cracked. Chelsea's mother was crying silently, her hands covering her face. I felt a pang of sympathy for them. They didn't deserve this embarrassment. But their daughter did. Marcus's mother walked over to me, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. For a terrifying second, I thought she might slap me. Instead, she took my hands in hers. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for showing us who he really is. I'm so sorry for what he put you through." I left through the side door, not running, but walking with my head high. Behind me, I could hear the reception falling apart completely. Shouting, crying, the sound of someone throwing something that shattered against a wall. I pushed through the exit into the parking lot, and the cool evening air hit my face like a blessing. My hands started shaking. The adrenaline that had been holding me together suddenly drained away, and I leaned against my car, gasping for breath. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. Part of me felt victorious, but another part just felt empty, hollow. Like I'd won the battle but wasn't sure what I'd lost in the process. My phone started buzzing immediately. Text after text from people who'd been at the wedding. Some were supportive, calling me brave and fierce. Others were angry, saying I'd gone too far, that I was cruel and vindictive. I turned off my phone and drove home in silence. When I got to my apartment, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch in the dark. I thought I'd feel more satisfied, more complete. Instead, I just felt tired. Bone deep, soul tired. Like I'd been carrying this weight for so long that now that it was gone, I didn't know what to do with myself. The next few days were insane. Someone at the wedding had recorded part of my video on their phone and posted it online. It went viral within hours, spreading through our town like wildfire. Local news even picked it up, though they kept the names anonymous. Scorned ex-fiancé exposes cheating couple at their wedding, the headlines read. The comments sections were brutal. Some people called me a hero. Others said I was petty and immature. I tried not to read them, but I couldn't help myself. Every opinion felt like it mattered. Like I needed validation that what I'd done was right. Chelsea deleted all her social media within 48 hours. Just vanished from the internet completely. I heard through mutual friends that she and Marcus had a massive fight at the hotel after the wedding reception, screaming at each other in the hallway while wedding guests tried not to stare. Apparently, she blamed him for everything, saying he'd promised me the relationship was completely over before they got together. More lies. Marcus's company got wind of what happened, and several clients expressed concerns about his character. He didn't get fired. But his boss apparently had a very uncomfortable conversation with him about professional conduct and personal integrity. His parents were the most surprising. His mother called me a week after the wedding. I almost didn't answer, afraid of what she might say. But her voice was gentle, sad. I wanted you to know that we've asked Marcus to move out for a while. His father and I need some time. We're ashamed of what he did. You deserved so much better. She paused, and I could hear her crying softly. You would have been a wonderful daughter-in-law. I'm sorry we lost you because of his mistakes. That conversation broke something open in me. I cried for an hour after we hung up, grieving not just Marcus but his whole family. It's the future I'd imagined. Sophie, Marcus's ex, reached out again. You're a hero, she wrote. You did what I was too scared to do. Thank you for exposing him. We met for coffee, and this time it felt different. Not to victims comparing wounds, but to survivors helping each other heal. She told me she'd started therapy after everything with Marcus, that it had taken her years to trust men again. But I'm dating someone now, she said with a shy smile. Someone kind, someone honest. They exist, Alina. Good men exist. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. 3 months after the wedding disaster, I heard they broke up. Chelsea and Marcus, their fairy tale romance lasted exactly that long once everyone knew the truth. Turns out, relationships built on betrayal don't have strong foundations. Who knew? A mutual friend told me they'd been fighting constantly, each blaming the other for the humiliation. Marcus had apparently started drinking heavily. Chelsea moved back in with her parents. They were both miserable. Part of me felt vindicated, but mostly I just felt sad. Sad for the time I'd wasted. Sad for the friendship I'd lost even though it was never real. Sad that this was how the story ended, with everyone broken and bitter. I started therapy seriously. Not just to process the betrayal, but to understand why I'd missed the signs. Why I'd trusted so completely, so blindly. My therapist helped me see that it wasn't naivety or stupidity. It was love. And love makes us vulnerable. You didn't fail, she told me during one session. They failed you. There's a difference. That distinction mattered more than I can express. I'd been carrying so much shame, so much self-blame. Slowly, session by session, I started to let it go. 6 months after their failed wedding, I was genuinely doing better. I'd changed jobs, finding a position at a company across town where nobody knew my story. I moved to a new apartment, got rid of furniture that reminded me of Marcus, started decorating in a style that was entirely mine. I joined a book club, started taking yoga classes, made new friends who only knew the current version of me, not the broken, betrayed one. Some days were still hard. I'd see a couple holding hands and feel this pang of loss. But other days I felt free, lighter than I had in years. Marcus tried to reach out last month. An email since I'd blocked his number at every social media account. The subject line said, "I'm sorry." I stared at that email for a long time, my finger hovering over the delete button. Part of me was curious what he had to say, whether he'd actually grown or changed. But then I realized something. It didn't matter. Nothing he could say would change what happened. Nothing would give me back those months of my life I spent planning a future that was already a lie. So I deleted it. Didn't even read it. And you know what? It felt good. It felt like closing a door that had been left open too long, letting in cold air and bad memories. Chelsea, I haven't heard from at all. No apology, no explanation, nothing. I think that hurts more than Marcus's betrayal in some ways. We had 7 years of friendship. 7 years of secrets and memories and promises that we'd be in each other's lives forever. And she could just walk away without a word, like none of it mattered, like I never mattered. But maybe that's who she always was, and I just didn't want to see it. Maybe people show you who they are all the time, and we just ignore it because the truth is too painful. As for me, I'm learning to trust again. It's slow, terrifying work. I went on a date last week with a guy named Daniel I met at a coffee shop. He's a teacher, loves dogs, has kind eyes. We talked for 3 hours and I didn't think about Marcus once. That felt like progress. I don't know if it'll go anywhere, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm learning that I don't need someone else to complete me or make me whole. I was already whole. Marcus and Chelsea just made me forget that for a while. People ask me if I regret what I did at the wedding. If I think I went too far, if I wish I'd handled it differently. The honest answer? I don't know. Some days I feel proud that I stood up for myself, that I refused to let them rewrite history and play the victims. Other days I wonder if I gave them too much power, if planning that revenge kept me trapped in the past instead of moving forward. But here's what I do know. They humiliated me publicly, in front of everyone I loved. So I returned the favor. Was it petty? Maybe. Was it satisfying? Absolutely. Do I have to live with the consequences? We all do. The truth is, revenge doesn't actually heal you. It doesn't erase the pain or undo the betrayal, but it can give you back your power. It can remind you that you're not a victim, that you have agency, that you don't have to just accept whatever people do to you. And sometimes that's enough. Sometimes knowing you fought back, that you didn't just disappear quietly, that you made them face the consequences of their actions. That's enough to help you move forward. So here's what I learned from all of this. Betrayal doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. You can let it break you, make you bitter and closed off and afraid. Or you can let it transform you into someone stronger. Someone who knows their worth and won't settle for less than they deserve. I chose transformation. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy. But every day I wake up and I'm not crying about Marcus. Every day I feel a little more like myself. That's a victory. If you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, I see you. I know that specific kind of pain that comes from loving someone who didn't deserve it. Don't let anyone tell you how to feel or how long to grieve. Take your time. Be angry. Be sad. Be whatever you need to be. But don't stay there forever. Don't let them have that much power over your life. At some point, you have to decide that your healing is more important than their guilt, that your future matters more than their past mistakes. And if you're planning your own revenge, make sure it's worth it. Make sure it's something you can live with. Because once you do it, you can't take it back. The video I played at that wedding will follow me forever. Some people will always see me as the crazy ex who couldn't let go. I've made peace with that. But you need to make sure you can too. Revenge is powerful, but it's also permanent. Choose wisely. As for Chelsea and Marcus, I hope they learn something from all this. I hope they become better people, though I doubt it. People who can betray someone that deeply, that calculatingly, usually don't just wake up one day and change. But that's not my problem anymore. They're not my problem anymore. I released them. Not because I forgave them, but because holding on to that anger was like drinking poison and expecting them to die. One chose myself. Finally, completely, I chose myself. My message to you, if you're going through something similar, is this. You're stronger than you think. The pain feels impossible right now. I know. It feels like you'll never be happy again, never trust again, never love again. But you will. Time doesn't heal all wounds, but it does give you perspective. It shows you that the person who betrayed you wasn't actually that special, that you've survived worse things, that you deserve so much better than someone who could treat you that way. Hold on to that truth. Let it carry you through the dark days until you can see the light again. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for not judging me or for judging me and listening anyway. If this resonated with you, if you've been through something similar, or you just appreciate hearing real stories about real pain and real survival, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories like mine. And drop a comment telling me, would you have done what I did? Would you have handled it differently? I genuinely want to know. Because we're all just trying to figure out how to survive the people who hurt us. And maybe sharing our stories helps us feel a little less alone in that struggle. Remember, whoever you are, wherever you are in your healing journey, you're stronger than the worst thing that ever happened to you. You're more than your betrayal. You're more than your pain. You're someone who deserves genuine love, honest friendship, and a future that isn't haunted by people who didn't deserve you in the first place. Don't ever forget that.